In a world where everyone is competing for attention, proving themselves, and reacting to every opinion, true power is found in a different path. The moment you stop seeking validation, become comfortable with silence, and focus your energy on your own growth, something remarkable begins to happen. Life becomes clearer, your mind becomes stronger, and many things that once seemed difficult start to fall naturally into place. Because peace does not come from controlling the world around you, it comes from mastering yourself. Today, I want to share with you why, when you focus on yourself and stay silent, everything begins to align in ways you never imagined. Many people misunderstand silence. They assume that if a person speaks less, avoids unnecessary arguments, or chooses not to react to every situation, it must mean weakness. Society often praises those who are loud, aggressive, and constantly trying to prove themselves. Because of this, many individuals develop the habit of responding to everything, defending every opinion, and seeking attention in order to feel important. Yet true strength does not always announce itself. Real power is often quiet, controlled, and deeply rooted in self-awareness. Silence is not the absence of confidence, it is the presence of control. A person who can remain calm when others are emotional possesses something that cannot be bought or borrowed: the ability to pause, observe, and choose a response instead of reacting immediately reflects maturity. Anyone can lose their temper, anyone can raise their voice, anyone can engage in endless conflicts. But very few people have trained themselves to remain composed when circumstances become difficult. The strongest individuals understand that not every opinion deserves an answer. Not every criticism deserves attention. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. They realize that constantly explaining themselves to others drains energy that could be invested in personal growth. They no longer feel the need to win every argument because they understand that peace is more valuable than proving a point. Their silence is not surrender, it is wisdom. People often confuse noise with influence. They believe that speaking more means having more power. However, history has repeatedly shown that some of the most impactful individuals possessed an incredible sense of restraint. They understood the importance of observing before speaking. They knew that words carry weight and should not be wasted on unnecessary battles. They recognized that emotional discipline creates a kind of strength that physical power alone cannot provide. Silence also allows clarity to emerge. When the mind is constantly occupied with defending itself, reacting to criticism, and chasing approval, it becomes difficult to think clearly. Emotions take control, and decisions become impulsive. But when a person embraces silence, they create space for understanding. They become more aware of their thoughts, their habits, and the direction of their life. They begin to recognize what truly deserves attention and what is merely a distraction. Many conflicts continue because both sides are desperate to be heard, yet very few are willing to listen. Silence teaches patience, it teaches humility, it teaches the ability to observe without immediately judging. Through silence, a person learns that understanding others is often more valuable than defeating them. There is strength in listening carefully and speaking intentionally. Such discipline transforms relationships, decision-making, and personal character. Remaining silent does not mean suppressing emotions or avoiding responsibility. It means refusing to allow emotions to control behavior. A calm person still experiences anger, disappointment, and frustration, but they do not become a slave to those feelings. They understand that temporary emotions should not determine permanent actions. They know that words spoken in moments of anger can create wounds that last far longer than the emotion itself. Therefore, they choose restraint over regret. In today's world, where people constantly compete for attention, Silence has become increasingly rare. Social media encourages immediate reactions. Society rewards instant opinions. Everyone feels pressure to respond, comment, and prove themselves. Yet this endless cycle often creates stress, comparison, and unnecessary conflict. Those who understand the value of silence step away from this constant noise. They realize that their worth is not measured by how loudly they speak, but by the quality of their character and the peace within themselves. Silence also reveals the intentions of others. When people stop talking excessively and simply observe, they begin to notice things that were previously hidden. Actions become easier to recognize. True motives become clearer. Empty promises lose their influence. The ability to remain silent sharpens awareness and helps individuals distinguish between what is genuine and what is merely appearance. A person who masters silence develops emotional independence. They no longer rely on constant praise to feel valuable. They no longer feel threatened by criticism. They become less affected by the opinions of strangers and more connected to their own principles. Their confidence is not built upon applause, but upon discipline. They understand who they are, and because of that understanding, they no longer need to constantly convince others. There is something deeply powerful about a person who remains calm, while others expect anger, who chooses dignity while others seek conflict, and who maintains composure while others lose control. Such individuals demonstrate a strength that goes beyond physical ability or social status. Their presence alone reflects stability. Their words carry more meaning because they are spoken carefully and intentionally. Their silence becomes a source of wisdom rather than a sign of weakness. From a young age, many people are taught to seek approval from others. They learn to measure their worth through praise, recognition, and acceptance. They become accustomed to adjusting their behavior to fit expectations, hoping that if enough people approve of them, they will finally feel complete. Over time, this desire for validation becomes deeply rooted, influencing decisions, relationships, and even personal identity. Without realizing it, many spend years chasing acceptance while neglecting the relationship they have with themselves. The need for validation often begins with good intentions. Everyone wants to feel appreciated and understood. There is nothing wrong with enjoying encouragement or positive feedback. The problem arises when a person's happiness becomes dependent on the opinions of others. When self-worth is placed in the hands of strangers, friends, or society, peace becomes fragile. Confidence rises when people approve and disappears when criticism appears. Such a life creates emotional instability because external opinions are constantly changing. No matter how talented, kind, or successful someone becomes, there will always be people who misunderstand them, disagree with them, or fail to appreciate their efforts. Seeking universal approval is an impossible mission. Trying to satisfy everyone leads to exhaustion because different people have different expectations. What pleases one person may disappoint another. A person who constantly seeks validation eventually loses touch with their authentic self because they are too busy becoming who others want them to be. Many individuals sacrifice their dreams because they fear judgment. They remain silent about their ambitions because they worry about criticism. They avoid taking risks because they want everyone to support their choices. They choose careers based on social status rather than personal passion. They remain in unhealthy relationships because they fear disapproval. They wear masks to gain acceptance, forgetting who they truly are beneath the expectations they have carried for so long. The desire for validation can become a prison. People begin comparing themselves to others, constantly checking whether they are ahead or behind. They become obsessed with appearances, achievements, and public image. Social media has intensified this struggle. Many individuals measure their value through likes, comments, and followers. They present carefully edited versions of their lives while silently battling insecurity. The search for approval becomes endless because no amount of external praise can permanently fill an internal void. True confidence begins when a person understands that their value does not increase because someone praises them, nor does it decrease because someone criticizes them. Human worth is not determined by popularity or public opinion. Those who understand this stop allowing strangers to dictate their emotional state. They no longer spend their energy trying to convince everyone to understand them. They accept that being misunderstood is sometimes part of life. There is great freedom in releasing the need to explain every decision. Not everyone needs to approve of your path. Not everyone needs to understand your vision. People view life through the lens of their own experiences, beliefs, and limitations. Some may support you, while others may question you. Some may celebrate your progress, while others may criticize it. If your actions are guided by principles and purpose, the approval of others becomes less important than remaining faithful to your values. Those who stop seeking validation become more courageous. They are willing to pursue goals even when others doubt them. They are no longer paralyzed by fear of criticism because they understand that criticism is unavoidable. They focus on growth rather than applause. They prioritize truth over popularity. Instead of asking, "What will people think?" they begin asking, "Is this aligned with who I want to become?" Relationships also become healthier when validation is no longer the foundation. A person who constantly seeks approval often becomes dependent on the opinions and emotions of others. They may tolerate disrespect, ignore their own needs, or compromise their values to avoid rejection. But when self-respect grows, boundaries become stronger. People learn to value themselves enough to walk away from situations that diminish their peace. They stop begging for attention and start appreciating those who genuinely value them. The opinions of others are often temporary and influenced by factors beyond your control. People may praise you today and criticize you tomorrow. They may admire your success one moment and question your choices the next. Building your identity on such unstable foundation creates unnecessary suffering. Inner confidence, however, is built through discipline, integrity, and self-awareness. It grows when actions align with values rather than public expectations. Many of the world's greatest achievements were accomplished by individuals who refused to let public opinion determine their direction. They understood that innovation, growth, and personal transformation often require standing alone. They accepted criticism as part of the journey. They recognized that seeking approval from everyone would only distract them from their purpose. When people stop chasing validation, they begin investing their energy in becoming better rather than appearing better. They become less concerned with impressing others and more committed to improving themselves. Their happiness no longer depends on applause. Their confidence no longer depends on compliments. Their sense of identity becomes rooted in character rather than reputation. They understand that external recognition is temporary, but self-respect is built through consistency, discipline, and the courage to remain true to themselves, regardless of who approves or disapproves. One of the greatest investments a person can make is the decision to focus on self-growth. In a world filled with distractions, comparisons, and endless noise, many people spend more time watching others than understanding themselves. They become consumed by what other people are doing, achieving, or possessing. Their attention is scattered across opinions, trends, and expectations, leaving little room for personal development. As a result, years pass, and they realize they have been observing life instead of building it, Focusing your energy on self-growth means directing your attention inward rather than constantly looking outward. It means recognizing that your greatest competition is not another person, but the version of yourself that lacks discipline, clarity, and purpose. Every individual has weaknesses to overcome, habits to improve, and potential waiting to be developed. Growth begins when a person stops blaming circumstances and starts taking responsibility for becoming better. Many people believe that success is primarily determined by external factors. They spend their time wishing for better opportunities, better conditions, or better luck. While circumstances certainly influence life, personal growth remains one of the few things that lies within human control. Skills can be learned, knowledge can be acquired, habits can be changed, character can be strengthened. The person you become tomorrow depends largely on the choices you make today. Self-growth requires honesty. It demands the courage to acknowledge weaknesses without making excuses. It requires individuals to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves. Many people avoid this process because it is easier to criticize others than to examine their own habits. It is easier to point fingers than to take responsibility. Yet genuine transformation begins with self-awareness. A person cannot improve what they refuse to recognize. Growth also requires patience. Society often promotes instant results and immediate gratification. People want quick success, rapid progress, and overnight changes, but meaningful development takes time. Just as a tree grows gradually beneath the surface before its branches become visible, human growth often happens quietly and steadily. Discipline practiced daily may not produce immediate rewards, but its effects become powerful over time. The energy people waste on comparison could be used to improve themselves. Constantly measuring your life against others creates unnecessary dissatisfaction. Someone will always appear more successful, wealthier, or more accomplished. Chasing comparisons is like running a race without a finish line. Instead of asking why someone else is ahead, wiser individuals ask how they can become stronger, more knowledgeable, and more disciplined than they were yesterday. Personal growth extends beyond professional success. It includes emotional maturity, mental resilience, and spiritual awareness. A person may achieve financial success while remaining impatient, insecure, or emotionally unstable. True growth involves becoming a better human being, not merely accumulating achievements. It means learning how to manage emotions, communicate effectively, and maintain integrity even when no one is watching. Reading, learning, and developing new skills are essential parts of this process. Knowledge expands possibilities. Every book read, every lesson learned, and every challenge faced contributes to growth. Those who focus on self-improvement understand that learning never ends. They remain humble enough to acknowledge that there is always something new to discover. Their curiosity becomes stronger than their ego. Discipline plays a crucial role in self-growth. Motivation is temporary and unpredictable. Some days enthusiasm is high, and other days it disappears. Discipline, however, creates consistency. It allows people to continue moving forward even when emotions fluctuate, whether it involves exercising, studying, practicing a skill, or maintaining healthy habits. Progress depends less on occasional bursts of inspiration and more on daily commitment. Focusing on self-growth also means protecting your time and energy. Not every conversation deserves attention. Not every conflict deserves participation. Many people become exhausted because they are involved in unnecessary drama and distractions. They spend hours worrying about things they cannot control while neglecting the areas they can improve. Growth requires priorities. It demands the ability to say no to activities, relationships, and habits that hinder progress. Mistakes are also an important part of development. Fear of failure prevents many individuals from reaching their potential. They avoid challenges because they are afraid of making mistakes. Yet every successful person has experienced setbacks, disappointments, and periods of uncertainty. Failure is not evidence of weakness. It is often a teacher that reveals valuable lessons. Those who focus on growth do not view mistakes as reasons to quit. They view them as opportunities to learn and improve. As individuals grow, their mindset begins to change. They become less reactive and more thoughtful. They stop seeking constant approval and begin trusting their values. They develop patience where they once had impatience. They replace excuses with responsibility. They become more focused on progress than perfection. They understand that becoming the best version of themselves is a lifelong journey rather than a destination. People who dedicate themselves to self-growth gradually develop confidence that is not dependent on circumstances. Their self-esteem is built through effort, discipline, and perseverance. They know the struggles they have overcome and the habits they have developed. This confidence is different from arrogance because it is rooted in experience rather than pride. It reflects quiet strength, humility, and the understanding that growth is a continuous process requiring commitment, awareness, and the willingness to improve with each passing day. Peace is one of the most valuable things a person can possess, yet it is also one of the easiest things to lose. Many individuals spend years pursuing money, status, and recognition, believing that happiness will automatically follow once they achieve these things. However, countless people discover that external success means very little if the mind is constantly overwhelmed by stress, negativity, and emotional chaos. Inner balance is not something that appears by chance. It must be protected through conscious choices and disciplined habits. Modern life constantly competes for attention. There are endless demands, responsibilities, opinions, and distractions pulling people in different directions. News, social media, expectations from others, and the pressure to keep up with everyone around us create a state of mental exhaustion. Many individuals become so accustomed to noise that they forget what peace feels like. They mistake constant activity for productivity and constant stimulation for fulfillment. Yet, a busy mind is not always a peaceful mind. Protecting your peace begins with understanding that not everything deserves access to your emotions. Many people suffer because they react to every criticism, every disagreement, and every problem that crosses their path. They carry burdens that were never meant to be theirs. They become emotionally invested in matters they cannot control and allow temporary situations to steal their long-term happiness. Wisdom lies in recognizing the difference between what deserves attention and what deserves distance. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every opinion needs to be challenged. Some people spend their lives trying to correct everyone around them, only to discover that they have sacrificed their own peace in the process. Emotional maturity teaches a different lesson. It teaches that preserving inner balance is often more important than proving a point. Walking away from unnecessary conflict is not weakness. It is a sign of strength and self-respect. The people we surround ourselves with have a tremendous impact on our peace. Relationships can either nourish the mind or drain it. Some individuals bring encouragement, honesty, and understanding. Others bring negativity, drama, and constant stress. Many people remain connected to unhealthy relationships out of guilt, fear, or habit. They tolerate disrespect because they are afraid of being alone. Yet protecting peace sometimes requires creating boundaries. Not everyone who enters your life deserves unlimited access to your time and energy. Boundaries are not acts of selfishness. They are acts of wisdom. They allow individuals to preserve their emotional health and maintain balance. Saying no does not make someone unkind. Choosing distance does not make someone cruel. Healthy boundaries teach others how to treat us and remind us that our well-being matters. A person who values peace understands that constantly pleasing others at the expense of personal stability leads only to resentment and exhaustion. Inner balance also depends on the relationship a person has with themselves. Many individuals are their own harshest critics. They carry guilt from the past, anxiety about the future, and unrealistic expectations about perfection. Their minds become filled with self-doubt and endless pressure. Protecting peace requires learning to replace constant self-criticism with self-awareness. It means acknowledging mistakes without allowing them to define identity. It means understanding that growth requires patience and that no human being is expected to have everything figured out. The constant pursuit of comparison is another enemy of peace. Looking at the achievements, appearances, and lifestyles of others often creates feelings of inadequacy. Social media has amplified this problem by presenting carefully selected highlights rather than reality. Many people compare their struggles to someone else's successes and conclude that they are falling behind. Such comparisons create unnecessary suffering because they ignore the unique journeys that each person experiences. Peace becomes possible when individuals stop measuring their lives against others and begin appreciating their own progress. Protecting peace also requires managing the information that enters the mind. Just as the body is influenced by the food it consumes, the mind is influenced by the thoughts and messages it receives. Constant exposure to negativity, fear, and toxic influences gradually affects emotions and behavior. Wise individuals are selective about what they watch, read, and listen to. They understand that mental clarity requires intentional choices and that not everything deserves a place in their consciousness. Silence and solitude are essential for maintaining inner balance. Many people fear being alone because they have become dependent on constant distractions. They seek entertainment, conversations, and external stimulation to avoid facing themselves. Yet some of life's greatest insights emerge during moments of stillness. Solitude creates space for reflection, self-awareness, and emotional healing. It allows individuals to reconnect with their values and rediscover what truly matters. Gratitude also strengthens peace. The human mind naturally focuses on what is missing, what is difficult, and what remains uncertain. This tendency creates dissatisfaction and anxiety. Gratitude shifts attention toward what is already present. It reminds people that joy is often found in simple things that are easily overlooked. Appreciating health, relationships, opportunities, and everyday blessings cultivates a sense of contentment that external achievements alone cannot provide. Those who protect their peace understand that happiness does not come from controlling every circumstance. Life will always contain uncertainty, disappointment, and unexpected challenges. Inner balance is developed by learning how to respond to these realities with patience and wisdom. Instead of allowing external events to dictate emotional stability, they cultivate habits and perspectives that keep them grounded. They recognize that peace is not something to be found in the outside world, but something to be guarded within themselves through awareness, discipline, and the courage to prioritize what truly nourishes the mind and soul. In a world where people constantly talk about their goals, dreams, and intentions, actions have become more powerful than words. Many individuals spend countless hours explaining what they plan to do, announcing their ambitions, and seeking recognition before any real work has been accomplished. They become attached to the image of success rather than the discipline required to achieve it. Words may inspire, but it is consistent action that creates results. Those who understand this truth learn to let their actions speak louder than their promises. Talking about success is easy. Making commitments is easy. Creating plans and sharing them with others often provides temporary satisfaction. People enjoy being seen as ambitious and capable. However, there is a significant difference between discussing goals and pursuing them. Real growth happens in private moments that few people witness. It happens during early mornings, late nights, moments of sacrifice, and periods of discipline when no applause is present. Progress is built through action, not through repeated declarations. Many people develop the habit of seeking external validation by announcing every intention. They tell everyone about the business they want to build, the habits they plan to develop, or the dreams they hope to achieve. While sharing goals is not inherently wrong, excessive talking can create a false sense of accomplishment. The mind begins to enjoy the praise associated with future success before any effort has been invested. This satisfaction often reduces the urgency to act because recognition has already been received without the work being completed. Doxes reveal character in ways words never can. Anyone can speak about honesty, loyalty, discipline, or kindness. Anyone can claim to possess strong values, yet true character becomes visible through behavior. It is easy to promise support during comfortable times, but loyalty is demonstrated during difficult moments. It is easy to speak about integrity, but integrity is proven when temptation appears. It is easy to discuss discipline, but discipline is measured by consistency when motivation disappears. People often pay close attention to what others say, but over time, they trust what they observe. Repeated words without corresponding actions eventually lose credibility. Promises become meaningless when they are not supported by behavior. On the other hand, individuals who consistently follow through on their commitments earn respect naturally. They do not need to constantly convince others of their intentions because their actions provide evidence. Their reliability speaks for them. Silence combined with action creates a unique kind of strength. Individuals who quietly work toward their goals often avoid unnecessary distractions. They are less concerned with impressing others and more focused on improving themselves. Instead of spending energy explaining their vision to everyone around them, they invest that energy into execution. They understand that results communicate more effectively than endless conversations. History repeatedly demonstrates that extraordinary achievements are rarely accomplished through words alone. Every invention, every masterpiece, and every great accomplishment required effort, patience, and persistence. Dreams remain fantasies until they are supported by action. Ideas have value, but execution transforms ideas into reality. Those who make progress understand that success is not determined by intentions alone, but by the willingness to consistently do what is necessary, even when it becomes uncomfortable. Lectures also influence self-confidence. Many individuals struggle with insecurity because they rely on positive thoughts without taking meaningful steps forward. Confidence is not built merely through affirmations or wishes. Confidence grows through evidence. Each promise kept to oneself strengthens self-respect. Every challenge faced and every obstacle overcome creates trust in one's own abilities. A person who consistently acts develops confidence because they have repeatedly demonstrated their capacity to persevere. Excuses are one of the greatest enemies of action. Human beings naturally seek comfort and avoid discomfort. It is easy to postpone responsibilities and justify delays. Some people spend years waiting for perfect circumstances, believing they will begin once conditions improve. Yet perfection rarely arrives. Those who achieve meaningful progress understand that action must begin even when uncertainty exists. They recognize that waiting indefinitely often leads to regret rather than success. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Many individuals become enthusiastic for short periods and then lose momentum. They pursue goals with excitement, but abandon them when difficulties appear. Lasting results are rarely produced through occasional efforts. Instead, they are built through small actions repeated over long periods of time. A person who remains consistent gradually develops habits that shape their future. Success becomes less about dramatic moments and more about disciplined routines. Humility is another quality found in those who allow their actions to speak. They do not feel compelled to constantly advertise their achievements. They understand that true accomplishment does not require endless attention. Their satisfaction comes from progress itself rather than public recognition. While others seek applause, they remain focused on mastery. They know that respect earned through actions is far more valuable than admiration gained through appearances. Relationships are also strengthened when actions align with words. Trust depends not on promises, but on consistency. People remember how others treated them during difficult times. They remember who remained present, who fulfilled commitments, and who demonstrated genuine care. Kind words have meaning, but compassionate actions leave lasting impressions. Reliability, honesty, and loyalty are experienced through behavior rather than speeches. There is a quiet confidence that develops in individuals who focus more on doing than talking. They become less concerned with proving themselves because they understand that time reveals truth. They do not rush to explain their value or seek approval from everyone around them. Their work, discipline, and character gradually create their reputation. While words may capture attention for a moment, actions create legacies that endure far beyond conversations and temporary impressions. One of the most difficult lessons in life is learning to trust the process. Human beings naturally desire certainty. They want immediate answers, visible progress, and guarantees that their efforts will lead to success. When results do not appear quickly, frustration begins to grow. Doubt enters the mind, and many people start questioning themselves, their abilities, and the path they have chosen. Yet some of the most meaningful transformations in life unfold slowly, quietly, and often beyond what can be seen in the present moment. Modern society encourages impatience. People are surrounded by stories of overnight success and instant achievement. Social media highlights victories, but rarely shows the years of sacrifice, setbacks, and perseverance that made those victories possible. This creates unrealistic expectations. Many individuals compare their beginnings to someone else's accomplishment and become discouraged when their own progress appears slow. They forget that every meaningful journey requires time and that growth rarely follows a straight line. Trusting the process means understanding that not everything valuable happens immediately. A seed planted in the ground does not become a tree overnight. Before anything becomes visible above the surface, roots must first develop beneath it. The same principle applies to human growth. Skills, character, and wisdom are often formed during periods when there is little external evidence of progress. Just because results are invisible does not mean nothing is happening. Many people abandon their goals too soon because they become obsessed with immediate outcomes. They work hard for a few weeks or months and expect dramatic changes. When reality does not match their expectations, disappointment takes over. They assume their efforts are wasted and begin searching for shortcuts. However, lasting success is rarely built through shortcuts. It is built through patience, consistency, and the willingness to continue, even when progress feels slow. Life itself does not always unfold according to personal plans. Unexpected challenges, failures, and delays are inevitable. Sometimes doors close despite sincere effort. Sometimes opportunities disappear without explanation. Sometimes setbacks arrive at moments when confidence is already fragile. In these situations, many people interpret difficulties as signs that they are on the wrong path. Yet challenges are often part of the process rather than evidence of failure. They shape resilience, develop wisdom, and prepare individuals for responsibilities they may not yet fully understand. Trusting the process does not mean remaining passive or ignoring reality. It does not mean hoping that everything will magically work out without effort. Trust requires action. It requires continuing to show up each day, even when motivation is absent. It requires maintaining discipline despite uncertainty. A person who trusts the process understands that results cannot always be controlled, but effort can. They focus on what lies within their power and allow time to take care of the rest. Patience is one of the foundations of trust. In a culture driven by speed and instant gratification, patience has become increasingly rare. Many people become restless because they expect life to move according to their timeline. When expectations are not fulfilled, anxiety and frustration begin to dominate their thoughts. Patience teaches a different perspective. It reminds individuals that timing matters and that rushing certain things can create unnecessary suffering. Some opportunities require preparation, and some lessons can only be learned through experience. There are moments in life when nothing seems to make sense. A person may feel lost despite working hard. They may experience rejection despite giving their best. They may wonder why certain dreams remain out of reach, while others appear to succeed effortlessly. During such times, trusting the process becomes especially difficult. Doubts become louder, and the temptation to give up becomes stronger. Yet it is often during these seasons of uncertainty that the greatest growth occurs. Adversity reveals strength that comfort could never develop. People who trust the process learn not to define themselves by temporary circumstances. They understand that setbacks are chapters, not conclusions. Failure becomes a teacher rather than an identity. Rejection becomes redirection rather than defeat. They recognize that disappointment, while painful, often carries lessons that contribute to future growth. Instead of allowing hardships to destroy their spirit, they use them as opportunities to become wiser and stronger. Trust also requires releasing the need to control everything. Many individuals exhaust themselves trying to predict every outcome and eliminate every uncertainty. They constantly worry about the future and become consumed by scenarios that may never happen. Such anxiety creates unnecessary suffering because life will always contain elements beyond human control. Peace emerges when individuals accept that certainty is impossible and that not every answer needs to be known immediately. Faith in the process creates emotional stability. Instead of reacting impulsively to every obstacle, individuals develop perseverance. They stop measuring success solely by immediate results and begin appreciating the importance of daily effort. They understand that progress is not always dramatic and that small improvements accumulated over time create extraordinary changes. They become less attached to quick rewards and more committed to long-term development. There is wisdom in understanding that life unfolds in ways that cannot always be predicted. Certain experiences that once appeared painful later reveal themselves to be valuable. Missed opportunities sometimes protect people from paths that were never meant for them. Delays often provide time for preparation. Difficult seasons cultivate humility, gratitude, and resilience. Those who trust the process recognize that growth is not merely about reaching a destination, but about becoming the person capable of handling whatever awaits ahead. Their focus remains on consistent effort, patient endurance, and the quiet confidence that everything unfolds according to principles that often become clear only with time.